Hello everybody. Man, it's good to see you at the middle of your week. I hope you're having a good week. I can't believe that we are in the middle of February 2020. We're already well underway and boy, wide open with the church calendar. It's been a great January. Now we're already into a great February. We had a phenomenal time last Friday night at the Valentine's dinner. Full house over at the mill, great food and lots of fun, great music. Just had a good time, and so we appreciate the missions team doing that for us. Another great Sunday at Community Church in Mount Pleasant. We loved hearing the report from South Africa from our place team. Love having that. We loved having a new family join us Sunday, the Summerlands, and we dedicated their little baby. It was wonderful. It was just a great day. And we are wrapping up this Sunday our series that we're currently involved with called Forgiveness. This Sunday, I'm going to wrap it all up. And there's been a lot of people responding to this series about forgiveness because a lot of people need to receive forgiveness. A lot of people, there are people in their life that they need to give forgiveness to. It's hard. I mean, I would say that everybody's been hurt, probably been betrayed, been wounded, maybe even abused. But in order for us to move forward with our life, we have to forgive. Otherwise, we're stuck. We're stuck, and the wound is inside of us, and it grows, and it just is very painful. And so this Sunday I'm going to say this. I'm going to talk about, okay, now we know we need to be forgiven. We know we need to forgive others. Now I'm going to tell you what God says about how do I forgive somebody else. I'm going to talk about that this Sunday. I really hope you can come. It's been a great series. A lot of people have responded to me saying, man, God's really doing a work in my life. I needed to get through this. So, plus I have a really neat testimony from someone in our church family that has just experienced forgiveness this particular series. So, hope you can come. This Saturday is our ladies' retreat, the Warrior event, and that is in Lincolnton, North Carolina. Many of our ladies plan to go. If you have questions, get your information from the bulletin or check with Carol Howard. And just a lot of cool things going on. So, hopefully I'll see you this Sunday. Let me just share with you a little devotional today. One verse, just one short verse, but it's a really important verse. And I think if I was going to entitle this devotional, I would call it, Cut 'em Some Slack. You know what that means, to cut somebody some slack? Here's what I think. There have been times in my life that I've needed somebody to cut me a little slack. Because, you know, maybe you're in a hard time, a tough spot. Maybe you've made a mistake. Maybe you have messed up and you need somebody to give you a break. It happens. It happens. It's happened to me. And then maybe, maybe somebody in your life, you need to cut them a little slack. Sometimes it's hard to cut somebody slack because for me, I just use me as an example. I have a very high level of expectations that I expect for myself. I guess that's the old coach in me. I have very high expectations, and I would expect a lot from my players, from my team, and I expect a lot from myself, too much sometimes, probably. I know that I get disappointed with myself sometimes, and I need to balance that out. And so sometimes I need to cut somebody else a little slack. Maybe I need to think, you know what, you don't know what's going on in their life. They're in a hard spot. They're having a hard time, and you need to cut them a little slack. Let me read this verse to you, because that's what it's about. Colossians chapter 3, verse 13, forbearing one another and forgiving one another. Paul says, if any man have a quarrel against any, a disagreement, an argument, a quarrel. If any man have a quarrel against any, even as Christ forgave you, so also do ye. Now, there's not a, this is a simple verse, and there's not a lot of gray area here. It's pretty black and white. Forbearing one another and forgiving one another, if you have a quarrel against anybody, just like Christ forgave you, you forgive them. Now, I looked through several I looked through several other translations, as I always do when I study. Several other versions. I look back at the original languages and the text, and here's some other words for this verse. Bear with each other. Here, I love this one. Put up with each other. Put up with each other. Because the other person is going to make a mistake. I'm going to make a mistake. Bear with each other. Put up with each other. Make allowance for each other. Accept one another. Be tolerant of one another. Here's my translation. Cut them some slack. Back off a little bit. Now, that does not mean to give in and compromise regarding sin. Doesn't mean that. It just means that sometimes I need to back off a little bit, because I'm pretty intense. You probably gather that. Sometimes I need to take it down a little bit, and because see, God forgave me, and I made mistakes, and I'm weak, and I mess up, but God put up with me, and God tolerates me, and He is patient with me. And so, you know what He said? He said, you forgive others. When other people do you wrong and make a mistake and struggle, and you're disappointed with them, put up with them. Bear with them. Forgive them, is the essence of this verse. Jesus forgave me. I should forgive others. So I'm just going to tell you today, there may be somebody in your life that you need to cut them a little slack. You've just been a little bit tight, a little bit tough. God cut you some slack. He forgave you. And so, those of us who've been forgiven, we need to be forgivers. There's a story in the Bible where this judge was dealing with a court case, and this guy was done wrong by one of his employees, and he owed him a little money. And it wasn't much. And then the same guy owed another guy a lot of money. Oh, please forgive me. I'm so sorry. Oh, please, I can't pay it. And the guy forgave him. He's like, oh, wow, thank you. Really? That's awesome. And so here comes this guy, and he owes him a little bit of money, and he grabs him. What? You're going to pay me, or I'm... Think about the hypocrisy of that. You know what the judge did? He heard about it, and he threw him in jail. And he said, I forgave you, and you can't even forgive your employee. Shame on you. You're the one that's guilty. And he threw him in jail because he wouldn't forgive. Sometimes it's hard to forgive. But God forgave us. And Paul told us, you need to put up with each other. You need to make allowance. You need to accept. You need to be tolerant of one another. Ultimately, we need to forgive each other. So, my message today for you in the middle of your week, and you know what? This happens so much in a household, under your roof, a husband and a wife. You need to tolerate each other and put up with each other and bear with each other. And your children who drive you crazy. You probably drove your own parents crazy and they put up with you. So, cut them a little slack. I can't wait for Sunday. I've got a message that I need to share. And we're going to wrap up our series on forgiveness. We love you here at CCMP. And I thank you for watching. I can't wait to see you Sunday.